There's a personality type society never talks about, and it's the one that always wins. Not the loudest person, not the nicest person, not the most talented or the most educated. There's a specific personality type that dominates every room they enter, that gets whatever they want, that builds empires while others build excuses. This personality is rare. Maybe 1 in 1,000 people have it naturally. The rest spend their lives wondering why these people always win while they always struggle. 500 years ago, Machiavelli identified this personality. He watched rulers, leaders, and powerful people across history. He noticed a pattern. The ones who succeeded weren't the ones who followed conventional wisdom. They were the ones who possessed specific personality traits that society condemns, but reality rewards. Traits that sound wrong but work perfectly. Traits that make you uncomfortable but make you unstoppable. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what makes this personality type win at everything. Not so you can judge it, so you can become it. Because this personality isn't genetic, it's learned, it's developed, it's chosen. And once you understand what makes these people different, you can build these traits in yourself. You can become the person who always wins instead of the person who always wonders why others are winning. If you want to understand the rarest personality that dominates life, smash that subscribe button right now. This channel doesn't teach you to fit in, we teach you to win. Before we start, drop this in the comments. I build the winning personality deliberately. Let's begin with the first trait that separates winners from everyone else. They're strategically selfish. Not selfishly selfish. Strategically selfish. Most people confuse these two. Selfish people take everything and give nothing. Strategic people take what they need and give what serves them. Big difference. Selfish people burn relationships. Strategic people build them. Selfish people are hated. Strategic people are respected. The rare personality understands this distinction perfectly. Your father probably taught you to put others first, to sacrifice for people, to be selfless. Noble advice that keeps you broke and powerless. Because selfless people give everything away and have nothing left for themselves. They help everyone else succeed while they stay stuck. They make everyone else's dreams come true while theirs die. Selfless sounds good. Strategic works. Here's what strategic selfishness looks like. You help people, but only people who can help you back. You give time, but only to things that move you forward. You make sacrifices, but only sacrifices that create future returns. Every action serves your goals first. Not exclusively, not cruelly, just first. Your priorities come before other people's wants. Your needs come before other people's preferences. Your future comes before other people's comfort. This personality type doesn't feel guilty about this. They understand a fundamental truth. You can't help anyone if you're drowning yourself. You can't give from an empty cup. You can't support others when you need support. So they build themselves first. Make themselves successful first. Get their life handled first. Then and only then do they help others. Not because they're mean, because that's what works. Society hates this. Society wants you selfless and struggling, easy to control, easy to manipulate, easy to exploit. The rare personality refuses that programming. They put themselves first strategically. They help others second. And they win consistently, because they're not depleting their resources on everyone else's problems. They're investing their resources in their own success, then sharing from abundance instead of giving from scarcity. Machiavelli once said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." Translation? Past promises to put others first mean nothing when present success requires putting yourself first. Be strategically selfish. Build yourself first. Help others from strength, not from weakness. Drop this in the comments. I put myself first strategically, others second. They're comfortable with conflict. Most people avoid conflict at all costs. They hate confrontation. They fear disagreement. They run from difficult conversations. This keeps them powerless. Because power requires conflict. Boundaries require conflict. Change requires conflict. Getting what you want requires being comfortable with people being uncomfortable with you. The rare personality understands this completely. Here's the difference. Normal people avoid conflict to keep peace. The rare personality creates conflict when necessary to get results. They're not conflict-seeking, they're conflict-comfortable. They don't start fights for fun, but they don't run from fights that matter. They understand that some things are worth fighting for, and those things require being willing to make people angry, disappointed, or upset. This personality sets boundaries that make people mad. They say no when everyone expects yes. They enforce standards that make others uncomfortable. They have difficult conversations others avoid. They confront problems directly while others hope problems disappear. They're okay with being called difficult, demanding, or too much, because those labels come from people who want them to be easy to control, and they refuse to be controlled. Think about every major change in your life, every promotion, every relationship improvement, every personal breakthrough, how many required conflict, all of them. Change creates conflict because change disrupts what people expect from you. People expect you to stay who you were. When you change, they resist. That resistance is conflict. If you're not comfortable with that conflict, you don't change. You stay stuck to keep peace. The rare personality chooses growth over peace, progress over comfort, results over harmony. They also understand conflict isn't the same as being mean. You can be kind and confrontational, respectful and firm, pleasant and unbending. Conflict is simply standing your ground when others want you to move. It's enforcing your boundaries when others want access. It's pursuing your goals when others want you to stop. None of that requires being cruel. All of it requires being comfortable with other people's discomfort. Most people would rather suffer than create conflict. The rare personality would rather create conflict than suffer. They understand that temporary conflict creates permanent improvement. Avoiding conflict creates permanent problems. They choose temporary discomfort over permanent dysfunction. That choice makes them win, while others stay stuck in situations they hate but won't confront. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Translation, it's better to be respected through conflict than liked through compliance. The rare personality knows this. They choose respect over likability every time. Because respect gets results, likability gets used. Drop this in the comments. I'm comfortable with necessary conflict. They think long-term in a short-term world. Everyone wants immediate results, quick money, fast success, instant gratification. This short-term thinking keeps them perpetually starting over. The rare personality thinks differently. They play long games. They make decisions today that pay off in 5 years. They sacrifice immediate pleasure for future power. And that's why they always win. Because everyone else is optimizing for today, while they're optimizing for decades. Your father probably taught you to work hard, but he didn't teach you to think long. Most people work hard on the wrong things. Things that feel productive today but lead nowhere tomorrow. They're busy but not strategic. Active but not effective. Working but not winning. Because they're making short-term decisions with short-term thinking. The rare personality makes short-term sacrifices with long-term thinking. Completely different approach. Completely different results. Here's what this looks like. Everyone else buys things to look successful now. The rare personality invests in things that make them successful later. Everyone else takes the higher-paying job now. The rare personality takes the job with better long-term potential. Everyone else wants immediate pleasure. The rare personality delays gratification for compounding benefits. Every decision is filtered through one question. Does this serve my long-term goals, or just my short-term wants? This personality type can delay gratification indefinitely. They don't need immediate rewards. They don't need instant results. They don't need quick wins to stay motivated. They're playing a different game with a different timeline. They're building foundations while others are building facades. They're creating systems while others are chasing outcomes. They're planting seeds while others are looking for fruit. And 5 years later, they're harvesting while others are still looking. Society doesn't reward this publicly. Nobody celebrates someone investing wisely, saving aggressively, building slowly, learning constantly. It's boring, it's invisible, it doesn't get likes or attention. But 10 years later, that boring person owns everything while the exciting people own nothing. The compound effect of long-term thinking is invisible until it's undeniable, and by then, it's too late for everyone else to catch up. This requires patience that most people don't have, discipline most people can't maintain, vision most people can't see. The rare personality has all three naturally, or builds all three deliberately. They understand that time is their advantage. While everyone else wants it now, they're willing to wait. That willingness to wait while working creates results others call luck. It's not luck, it's long-term thinking paying off. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." But he also knew the wisest man does today what pays off tomorrow, not immediately, eventually. The rare personality is wise enough to sacrifice today for tomorrow. That sacrifice makes them rich, while others stay poor, wondering what happened. If you're thinking long-term in a short-term world, hit that like button right now. Drop this in the comments. I sacrifice today for tomorrow's power. They're emotionally detached from outcomes. Most people are emotionally invested in everything. They need to win, they fear losing, they're desperate for specific outcomes. This desperation makes them weak, makes them predictable, makes them easy to manipulate. The rare personality is different. They want things, but they're not desperate for things. They prefer outcomes, but they're not destroyed by unexpected outcomes. They're emotionally detached, and that detachment is power. Here's why this matters. When you're emotionally attached to an outcome, you lose negotiating power. You need it too much. The other side senses desperation. They push harder, demand more, give less. Your need becomes their leverage. But when you're emotionally detached, when you genuinely don't need any specific outcome, you have maximum power. You can walk away, you can say no, you can wait, you can demand better terms. Because you're not desperate. Desperation destroys value. Detachment creates value. This personality type wants success but doesn't need success to be okay. They prefer winning but don't need winning to feel worthy. They like specific outcomes but don't require specific outcomes to be happy. This detachment isn't not caring. It's not being controlled by caring. They care about things. They just don't let that care control them. Big difference. Look at negotiations. Person who needs the deal loses. The person who can walk away wins. Same with relationships. The person who needs the relationship has no power. The person who's fine either way has all the power. Same with everything. Need creates weakness. Want without need creates strength. The rare personality masters this distinction. They want many things. They need nothing. That combination is unstoppable. This also protects them from emotional manipulation. When you're not desperate for outcomes, people can't manipulate you with outcomes. They can't threaten to take away what you're not desperate to keep. They can't promise what you're not desperate to get. Your emotional detachment makes you immune to most manipulation, because manipulation works through desperation. Remove desperation, remove manipulation. Most people think this sounds cold. It's not cold, it's free. When you're not emotionally attached to outcomes, you're free to pursue them without fear, free to try without desperation, free to fail without destruction, free to succeed without pressure. That freedom makes you more effective, not less human. You're not an emotionless robot. You're an emotionally intelligent strategist who doesn't let emotions destroy strategy. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel." Translation? People see your actions but don't feel your emotions. Act powerfully regardless of how you feel. The rare personality does this naturally. They feel emotions but act strategically. Emotions inform but don't control. That's mastery. Drop this in the comments. I want outcomes but don't need them. They're ruthlessly self-aware. Most people lie to themselves constantly. They pretend they're better than they are. They blame others for their failures. They make excuses for their weaknesses. They live in delusion about who they actually are versus who they pretend to be. This self-deception keeps them stuck forever. The rare personality is different. They're brutally honest with themselves about themselves. And that honesty makes them unstoppable. This personality knows their weaknesses, not generally, specifically. They know exactly where they're incompetent, where they're vulnerable, where they need help, where they fall short. Most people can't handle this level of self-awareness. It's uncomfortable. It's ego-destroying. It forces you to confront things you'd rather ignore. But the rare personality embraces this discomfort because self-awareness is power. You can't fix what you won't acknowledge. You can't improve what you won't admit needs improvement. They also know their strengths. They don't have false modesty about what they're good at. They don't downplay their capabilities to make others comfortable. They know exactly what they're excellent at, what gives them advantage, what makes them valuable, and they leverage those strengths ruthlessly. While everyone else is trying to fix weaknesses, they're maximizing strengths. That's how you dominate. This self-awareness extends to motivations. Most people don't know why they do what they do. They're driven by unconscious programming, unexamined beliefs, hidden fears. The rare personality examines everything. They know why they want what they want, why they fear what they fear, why they react how they react. That knowledge lets them control their responses instead of being controlled by them. They're not running unconscious programs. They're running deliberate strategies. This also means they accept feedback that destroys ego. When someone points out a flaw, most people defend and deny. The rare personality investigates and integrates. They don't care about protecting ego. They care about getting better. If feedback is accurate, they use it. If it's not, they ignore it. But they never defend against truth just to protect self-image. Truth is more valuable than comfort. This ruthless self-awareness makes them adaptable. When something isn't working, they know it immediately. They don't lie to themselves about failing strategies. They admit failure fast, adjust faster, move on fastest. While everyone else is defending their approach, they've already changed and improved. That speed of adaptation comes from self-awareness. You can't adapt to what you won't admit isn't working. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." The rare personality knows exactly what they really are, and that knowledge lets them control what they appear to be. Self-awareness is foundation. Everything else builds on it. Drop this in the comments. I know myself ruthlessly. I improve constantly. You now understand why the rarest personality always wins. They're strategically selfish, putting themselves first. They're comfortable with conflict when necessary. They think long-term in a short-term world. They're emotionally detached from outcomes. They're ruthlessly self-aware about everything. These 5 traits create a personality that dominates life. Not because they're lucky, because they're strategic. Not because they're gifted, because they're deliberate. Most people will never develop this personality. They'll stay selfless and struggling, conflict avoidant and powerless, short-term thinking and broke, desperate for outcomes and manipulated, self-deceptive and stuck. That's fine. The rare personality doesn't need everyone to get it. They just need to understand it themselves and apply it ruthlessly. You're here because something in you recognizes this personality, recognizes its power, recognizes its effectiveness. The question is whether you'll build these traits deliberately or whether you'll stay comfortable with the personality that's kept you from winning. These traits can be developed, can be learned, can be integrated, but only if you're willing to be uncomfortable becoming them. Do 3 things right now. Smash that like button if this personality explains why some people always win. Subscribe for more psychology that builds power instead of popularity. Drop in the comments which trait you're building first. The rarest personality always wins. Not because life is unfair, because this personality understands how life actually works and operates accordingly. You can be that personality. You can build these traits. You can become the person who always wins. The choice is yours. Drop this final affirmation. I build the winning personality. I become unstoppable. I always win.